I'm going to make this bed coaster, and what I've done so far is hooped up some wash away stabilizer. I use brand Super Punch Obegon. This is what this is. It looks very similar to the no-show mesh that I use, but it's not. This is actually, if you touch it with water, it melts. Yeah, so that's what I want to do. It's only one layer. It's got my 4x4 hoop on. I've cut, I use the Sweet Pea rulers, so I know this is like 6x6, but I'm only actually making a 4x4 mat, but cut it bigger, and I couldn't be bothered to find the right one, so I'm just using a bit of sparkly at the moment. So the first thing I'll do on my machine is I'll just do a quick run round. I've got dark cottons in here so I can see what I'm doing. And first of all, this would be, I loaded the design, so now this will be the absolute outside of the design of where I want things to fit on in my hoop, so I know where I start. Right, step one. Oh, I am only using Coats. It's not very good. I am only using Coats thing. I must change it. I must change it over. Right. But step one gives me the outline. I need. I could use foam. Actually, I don't think I've ever used foam. Let's have a go. See what happens. Bear with me. I'll just quickly cut a piece of foam. It's been on the floor, so let's get rid of any scrappy bits that are on it. Right. And now I'll just fit that, making sure it's covering my outline stitches. If I, you know, I'm doing it a very quick way. If it were me, I'd probably cut it smaller than that if I was thinking about it, but I'm not. I'm just doing it for show, so here we go. Right, and then I'll do my outline stitch again. This is not on the I'm going back to the program now. So this is the first step, which is in red, yeah. And let's just do that one. Now this will be a much finer stitch because this is a programmed in stitch. Okay, now, so just cutting off loose ends, and what I need to do now is taking out my nice scissors. We need to cut this back, yeah, so as you would with any applique, hold it up in the air and cut. Trying not to cut your stitches. Naturellement. Right. So I have just cut out the foam to fit the square that I just cut. And remember, I am making these pieces a lot larger than you would. Then, you know, best side looking up at you. The next step is to put on our white. or you know, whatever your middle. This is the colour you will see in the middle of your mat. And step 2, which is blue on mine. Again, I'm still using exactly the same dark outline. A, so that you can see it, and B, because I am going to be using this blue for my finishing stitches anyway. But if you wanted to, you could use a neutral colour so it's not so obvious. To go down where you've got 2 red stitches. Now we need to cut some, whatever we want as our border material on this is what we need to cut. Now I know that they should be roughly yeah, they you know, they need to be a good inch all the way round. So I know this is 4 by 4, so I need to cut some 4.5 by 4.5, but 4.5 by 1.5 inch strips. Okay, I have just cut some strips that are 1.5 inch wide. The next step that we will be doing, and I'm going to change my cotton now because I don't want it to be this dark. And I'm going to go over to a much nicer white. I do like superior threads. So I just loaded up the top. I gotta take my hoop off a minute while I go in here and get rid of this navy blue. This is from when I was handbag making the other day. And put in, oh, I need a white now, don't I? Now when I'm working on something that is non-constructive, as in I am not making something that I expect to hold up on the seams like a handbag or a dress or something like that, something where, you know, there's no strain on the seams, for embroidery work like this, I will put in it's a brand, Superior Threads bottom line, which is a 60 weight, although this top embroidery is probably 40 or more likely 50 weight, but I like to put in a less of a weight on the bottom. I've just noticed I'm still using a universal needle, so very quickly I'm going to swap that out. It's all very well for doing the outside, but now we're going to embroider, aren't we? So I want a red tip. Where are we? Oh, I don't seem to have one. I do use organ red tip embroidery needles. I got hundreds of packets of these, and over the time I have found these are one of the best that I can use. So now this is going to get into embroidery mode in the hoop, so I am just going to quickly, I got something, but secure that in place nice and tight. Yeah, I got a white on here now, so boom 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 boom. Yeah, just, you know, thread that through. I always even though I threaded the needle. Oops, come here you bum bum. Can't get hold of it. Right, I do tend to cut it within about inch and a half, 2 inches, because I don't need a long tail hanging around me. Right, so now I'm looking at my fabric and I am judging with my fabric which way up my birds are, and you know, I got 4 strips to put on. So ooh, I like that one because that's got a bird, it's actually got a bird in it for the right way up. That one hasn't, so that can go on the side. That's got a bird for the bottom. Those have, so they can go on the side. Right, so the first 2 that we're going to stitch down are the top and the bottom. Now you need to have your strip. Mine are oversized for the sake of argument, right? So the first thing you need to do is to sew the 2 horizontal lines that we're going to be working with. Okay, so our strips are going to be folding outwards from that. So I'm looking at what I want. I think I'll use this one at the top. Remember, it's going to fold back that way. Yep. So I need to fashion my material so that the edge of it is just 1/4 of an inch above that line, or matching the outside line, whichever way you wish to look at it. And I'll just use a bit of masking tape to hold that, you know, in place while I do it. And again with the bottom, obviously you need to consider yourself which way round you want it to go to be the right way up. But again, you need to just bring that in, remembering it's going to fold down about 1/4 of an inch, or matching the top line, and just hold that down. I mean, you could do it without the tape, but if you put the tape on, well, then it shouldn't move, should it? And then do the next line, which now will secure that. Then what I suggest you do is when you take off the masking tape, I mean, it's very little tack, so you know, it's really good to work with. Then you can actually, for the moment, just use it to hold it back, because we've got another couple of strips to put on here. Alright, so just fold your strips back as you want it to end up, and then reusing the bits and bobs that you've got, you're holding that down. Alright, never mind about loose threads for a moment. Don't know why. Seem to have a few loose threads going on. And then your other two strips, well, no, moving on now, the next stage is it will draw you your line on both edges. So you know where you're working to, and again you can put your strip down, a bit more tape to hold it in place. This is why my hoops end up getting sticky and tacky. Oops. Where's the last piece? Oh, I always bear in mind which way it's going to go, so yep. Plop my strips in. As I say, I have over measured what is required, but that's so that first time you make one, you're absolutely assured. Next time you make one, well, you can cut down on the fabric because you know what you're doing. So next step, and that will sew that in place for you. So now I'm just taking off all my painter's tape or freezer tape, all this very low tack stuff, and I am pulling out my edges. Okay. So you could reuse a bit of tape that you just used for now. To just hold those, side bits out of the way until we're ready. Okay, because we're going to do some work on the middle now. So the bottom is fairly secure because it's just been sewn over. So all I want to do now is hold down these outside edges so that they don't get in the way. Alright, so I've got a nice clear square in the centre of my white, and then I am using the symbol for Gemini because that's me. I will be using the symbol for Sagittarius on the next one because that's him. And then you've got a choice, haven't you? Now what colour shall I do it? I could just do white on white, but I'm not in the mood. I want to use, I found this one I think works well. So I want to use a nice bit of aqua embroidery. Whose is this one? This one is Bro Thread. Okay, so you know it's not an expensive one. Bro Thread, this one. So I'm just gonna quickly whip that in. Right, and we're ready to go. So yeah, the next stage is to put in the symbol. My symbol is my birth zodiac sign. when I got to this stage on the last one I made, it all got kind of mocked up. So what I should have filmed, hang on, let me just move this, is that now we can take away where we've held back with tape the outside strips. We can take that off, yeah. We don't need them. Oh, actually, I'd probably, no. Well, you could keep them on for a minute, but I'm going to take mine off. So, take off my painter's tape. Oh, some of it is under, over, under, whatever. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Right. Take off your painter's tape. And then, what we need to do is flip, you notice on this one now, it's got a Sagittarius sign on it, because I'm on the second one now. So, flip it over, find your backing piece that you want to use. Have I not, did I not cut one? Oh, I thought I would have done, but anyway. I've got black in the bottom. Oh, kept my navy blue in, I don't know why, but never mind, doesn't matter. Anyway, so put your backing strip on, whatever you're using for your backing material, and then I'll tape that down on the edges. Right, so that's not going to move now. Put it back under my needle, back on the machine. I've got aqua on you at the moment. Need to get rid of that, don't I? Get rid of my aqua now. I think everything from now on is navy, so let's quickly put that back in the machine. As you do. That's typical of me, that is. Is it in or out? Oh, it's still in. It's still in. Oh, good job having cataracts fixed, isn't it? Right, now, let's just cut that short because I don't want it hanging around too much. And now, we've got the backing on, and I want to make sure that this stays out. The next round is to just secure the front to the back, basically. Okay, so what I need to do now is take this back off the hoop, get a good pair of scissors, and these are very nice scissors. I'm going to turn it over. I hope you can see this on camera. Get rid of my painter's tape because that was only securing it for the moment, so it didn't ride up on the back. And I'll just cut the back carefully, just within 1 or 2 millimeters of the stitching, just as if you were doing applique. Well, how I do applique anyway. Oh, I do like curved scissors for this, so that you don't stab in the back of your material. Turn it over the right way, and I do this one bit at a time. I got overlapping bits of fabric, so again I'm just cutting it down to within 1 or 2 millimeters of the stitch without cutting a stitch, and I'm doing it a bit at a time because this is overlapping now, all of it. Yeah. And this is where you've got to be a bit careful that you don't leave too much. I mean, like I say, between 1 and 2 millimeters. If you leave too much of a line, then the concern is that the outside satin stitch, which hopefully is going to melt away, you don't want any fabric protruding past that, do you? So right, so having got rid of all the framework of it, yeah, then I can pick up the background layer, which is the white, and continue in the same vein. So cut that away. I am taking into account the width of my next stitch, which is 1.8. So, you know, I don't want to leave body move. I am, you know, trying to be quite conservative with that. And when I've done it with my big scissors, I then kind of go around with my little squizzers to just these ones sharp. I've got another pair, but yeah, these ones sharp. Always have about 3 or 4 pairs that you can interchange. Different types. These are just embroidery scissors, but they work really well on embroidery. On this sort of work. I do like curved end scissors because then you're not going to stab or cut anything you shouldn't, hopefully. So when you're satisfied, just give it that a tap. Get rid of all the loose bits. And drop that back under. If, unlike me, because I cut the navy blue in all the way around, But if you have got white in the bottom, now is the time to change it over to whatever your top colour is going to be, because it's going to be sewn front to back, back to front, yeah? So now moving on to the final stitch out, which will be the satin stitch with, then it'll go on and do the holding perimeter stitch for the satin work, yeah? Bobbin thread may not be sufficient. Just have a go. If it's not, I'll cry. It should be. Now my bobbin is kicking up. You hear that every now and again. So I'm going to stop it. Cut the thread. And I am going to look at the back of my work. Yeah, and as I guessed, huge look, huge mess. You little sod. So what they do, I cut as much of that thread away as I can. They do produce now shavers for this, but I prefer to do it by hand. Right, one right royal mess. I think I cut all of that out. A minute when I tap it in the bin. Yeah, so I've got rid of that mess. And a few tufts and puffs on the top side. Oh, I've got rid of that. Ready to go again. I don't know what I should say to you. I could hear that bobbin going clackety clack, and yeah, hardly anything left on it. So I do want navy blue. So have I got another one, or have I got to make one? Well, that's all perfect in there. That's not good. Let me go and have a look. I guess I got one. Oh yeah. Oh, it's purple. Oh, I thought it was navy blue, but that's purple. A minute. Have I got another? Oh. Hmm. Ah. What is that, the same thread? What is wrong with this? Oh. Go back in there. Right. So I've managed to find myself darker, but it's still navy. Right. Just plopped myself in a new bobbin. Well, a more full bobbin anyway. Having sewn that through, the next thing to do, and I do like to do it on the hoop, well, in the hoop. Yeah, I'll take the hoop out of its mooring, but while it's still, you know, while you've still got it taut, I do like to just cut a few millimeters away from the stitches. But it's easier to cut in the hoop than it is when it's free, because you haven't got any floppy fabric then, have you? I mean, it's still quite taut. Yeah? So, let me just cut this out and I'll show you. Well, I might have gone a bit overboard with the width of it there. But anyway, basically, get rid of that. So now, there's the mat. You've got a little bit of water soluble thing to get rid of, but naturally, you know, warm water, a toothbrush or a painting, you know, a paintbrush, anything like that, or even, I suppose you could use an ear swab and just a bit of warm water. That's all you want on the edge, and that'll all melt away to nothing then. And the back of mine looks like that. Yeah, there's the back. So now that's two I've made. Made one for him, one for me, and that is my bedside table coaster. I will be putting this up. I don't know what I'm going to do exactly, but I have to say, oh, I even like the sound of it. I have to say, making out of foam has given definition to the stitches. I really quite like it. Okay, I might say some more in a minute, but I'm going to stop that for now. Okay, so here's the two mats that I've made. Just want to point out to you that the one with the Gemini on, I hope you can see this nice and clearly, that is done with a tatomi stitch. Okay, and then this one, which is the Sagittarius, is done with quite a large satin stitch. Now, the reason I can get away with such a large satin stitch is because I'm working with foam, so the foam encompasses the stitches far better than normal batting. Now, what I need to do, just trying to see where you can see, is I've just got hot water and this is a sponge brush. Yeah, you can use any sort of brush or swab or something. Yeah, and I am just literally washing away the ooh, doesn't want to wash away, does it? It will. Yeah. So you need to go round and just wash away the excess water-soluble stabiliser. So here are the finished products. Naturally, because it's just foam and cotton, and thread, easily, as things are, when you put a cup down, eventually they will get stains on them from the bottom of the mug or the cup or whatever. So yeah, they can all go, throw it in the machine, 40-degree wash, same as everything else, just throw it in, being the foam that it is, that I've used, or even if you were just using normal batting, it's going to come up lovely. It's going to come up great, and you can, wash them as many times as you like. I will be putting this up for sale, actually, and for sale, you will get all 12 zodiac signs, and obviously this in the hoop, if you're an embroiderer, in the hoop file for each of them. I think, you need to decide, do you want the tatomi or do you want the satin, depending on the media you're using and how well you think your machine will cope with it. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this. It is a little extra to our bedroom makeover and matching in with the set of what I'm doing. However, they are equally as nice to do in many different colours and many different ways to give to friends for birthdays, so that they can have it on their desk at work or at home, or have a set. So each and every one on the family has their own birth sign to put the glass of water on the table, or whatever. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this.